Welcome to Growing the Region, a podcast brought to you by Recycled Media that spotlights inspiring stories of resilience, leadership, and triumph within the blue-collar economy. Meet your host, Jake Bronstein. He's not just passionate, he's on a mission to unearth the invaluable lessons learned from the unsung heroes of the blue-collar economy. With a track record that includes founding a recycling company and acquiring another, Jake knows firsthand the challenges faced by entrepreneurs who have weathered the storms. Prepare yourself for a deep dive into the wisdom of accomplished operators as we uncover the invaluable lessons that have paved the way for their remarkable success stories.
Hey guys, we're here on Zug Island with Jay and Bobby from Stone Transport. We're checking out their material handling operation. We're going to walk around and understand what a Coke battery plant is. So let's go do it.
Really, this operation, we're taking Coke from the battery that's going to be furnace Coke. You'll see the haul trucks coming in here. They'll dump it off, and then we're going to handle that material, whether it's screen it to create different product sizes or load it out on ships. So you'll see our screening plants here.
Yeah, I could see the different commodities over here. More like chorus and fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I just assumed Coke was Coke.
Yeah, so back in the back we have the furnace Coke. We have Breeze and Nut Coke. Obviously it's pretty dirty stuff, but there's a lot of trucking companies in here, as well as ourselves, that haul it to different steel mills across the country.
So how many trucks do you guys run out of here on a monthly basis?
So we have our 3 trucks on site that run all weekend long. Outside of that, as a trucking company, we don't touch a lot of the Coke. We have a lot of different projects going on elsewhere. We'll go over to the stone dock, and that's where we end up hauling a lot of the aggregate out of. Right on the river, we'll barge in or ship in different aggregate and then haul it out for all of our customers. So you can see these guys stacking the pile, pushing the pile. Back in the back corner, we got a screening plant going. And this is our inventory here that Connor and his team really manage.
Gotcha. And you were mentioning before sometimes, I guess Jay was mentioning before, Bobby, that there's given months where you might have to move 24,000 tons in like a 4-week basis. That's pretty impressive capacity.
Yeah, I mean we've built up relationships with outside carriers along with our internal, which is Stone. So we have the ability to flex up and down, big or small. We have the ability to do it, and we've proven that we've been able to do it. Jay was mentioning how we don't touch a lot of this Coke. A lot of it's going to go to your integrated mills, right? They're going to go to the BOFs, and right now, that's something that's not really big around in the industry, right? Everybody's pushing for the green, clean steel, and that's what's happening. So a lot of this Coke's going to be going back into Ontario, back into some of the steel mills back there. It's going to hit the waterway or be trucked that way. So we don't touch a lot of it, but we certainly do a lot of processing of it. That's for darn sure.
And processing for you guys means what? Screening it?
Screening. Yep.
So like those T-sobs over there, screening plants, multiple decks, the arms fold down and they'll spit off different sizes based on the screens that you're putting in there. So we have those at all different locations. We mob them off-site to do, screening work on a contract basis, as well as keeping the plants here to run the Coke.
And for those that don't know what, people probably talk about like what is Coke?
Right, exactly.
You hear about it, and it's pretty simple. It's just baked coal.
Right.
It goes into the coker. It's coal that goes into a coker, gets baked to a temperature, kind of bakes off all the impurities, and comes out of that hot, and then it's brought over here for processing to make various grades depending upon the the customer specifications.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Coke, limestone, iron ore, scrap steel. It's all the the ingredients needed to make new steel. And it's interesting, I think, from our perspective, at least my perspective, that not only are you bringing scrap raw materials in, but actually the other ingredients needed to make and participate in the steel manufacturing process.
Yeah, the BOFs have a lot of inputs to make a finished product, and this is one of their biggest inputs right here.
And are you bringing in limestone too, and other materials and commodities?
Yeah, I mean, Stone Transport and Stone Material Handling, two companies that obviously work together, and we actually just finished a big job for Cleveland Cliffs over here, where we brought in 24,000 tons of limestone from our dock right into Cleveland Cliffs. So it's one of those projects that we do quite a bit.
I think for us to kind of fathom, like, how when you guys get together, obviously you guys work on the same team, like logistically to fill that capacity, what goes into something like that, plan it and move that amount of volume within a fixed time? Because
well, having the capacity is the most important thing, having the trucks and the capacity. So, we wouldn't be able to do this stuff if we didn't have a bunch of great drivers out there contributing to every single day. I mean, they would be darn near impossible. So having the capacity, having the equipment readily available, we keep our trucks running year round. We're not a seasonal trucker. We come up with great ideas and thoughts to keep our trucks going year round. So that's where we can keep that core group of drivers, that base of drivers out there, so they can flex into that role. I'd take on that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have, obviously, I know you guys from the service end of things because you guys move quite a bit of tons for us. And I would say one of your biggest assets is drivers, and I'll send Jay a selfie of the guys when they're in our yard. I always like it. They're, we love dealing with them. I mean, we've done some remote demo jobs, and they get to Cleveland Cliffs, and they'll shoot us a picture and text it over to me. I just say, thanks, bud, have a great day, and we appreciate it. But I think the other thing, too, that you guys have really done a great job at is building up your capacity in terms of just how many trucks are in your fleet and having the right equipment and trailer configurations. It's cool. I think if people are watching this, they don't, the multi-axle trailer configurations it's just so cool to see. And
yeah, we've had to adapt a lot of what we do to customer needs, right? Unique permit opportunities in other states that, you have to, in order to take advantage of it, offer a better rate, a better price per haul, requires this type of trailer, or we have a fab shop where we're moving axles around and configuring it the right way to take advantage of it. So yeah, our equipment, our driver force, and then just really planning. I mean, we're already started, we're in July here, we're already started talking about 2024, what we need to buy, what we need to get, what we need to change around. It's already started. We've already started developing the plan for next year because you have to.
Right.
You know, in order to be prepared for it, in order to take on that 24,000 tons, in order to, take on a big project here, big project there, you got to be prepared. You got to have the equipment. You got to have the driver force. You got to have the operational, the maintenance staff in order to make that happen.
What, for 2024 and your planned CapEx, how do you guys think about that in terms of your equipment plan and capital allocation? And
well, number one is lead time. Lead times are longer. So nothing is as quick as it used to be. So lead times are longer. So you got to prep for that. And then other than that, I mean, the only thing that we got to, that we're really worrying about is we got to make sure that our CapEx matches what our business plan is. And we've kind of already started talking about that. What do we need to do with our core customers in order to provide better service, better support for them. So, and we have a great leadership group and a great ownership that kind of allows us to drive this thing and it doesn't really put a cap on much, right?
Right,
As
yeah.
long as we're a very asset intensive company, if we
Sure.
don't have the assets, we can't make money. So, having no ceiling and as long as it's managed right is very strategic for us.
Yeah, no, I think, from just being in the scrap metal recycling business and transportation, you better bring a checkbook, right? And this is a capital intensive business with a high barrier to entry. But if you're servicing critical supply chains, you need to be reliable, right? You need to do it at the best cost structure that you can.
Yep.
And that just means increased capacity at a fixed cost, and in that way everyone's happy.
Yep.
What in terms of the driver situation, obviously 2020 was terrible, and probably 2021 was equally as bad, and 22 kind of softened up a little bit. What does that look like for you guys right now in attracting and retaining talent? Because obviously you could have all this CapEx and get these brand new beautiful trucks, but if you don't have asses in the seat, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you're gonna be in trouble, right? Culture. I mean,
Yeah.
it comes down to culture. It comes down to brand.
Right.
Jay's been great about that, kind of changing my perspective on, brand and how important it truly is, and it really is. And so, your brand drives your culture.
Right. Yeah.
And we're making investments in order to improve that. You gotta have a solid culture as far as laying out the expectations, having core values that start from the top and go all the way throughout the organization. So we put a lot of focus on that,
Right.
and I think we've done a pretty good job about creating a company that allows a good work-life balance. That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough for a driver, a mechanic, somebody that's a support staff in our support staff. You got to have that balance.
Yeah.
You have to create a work-life balance right now, because if you don't, you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
You're great people, and you won't have them there when you need to count on them.
I think that's one of the things that we've gone through in 2020 and 2021 was just the burnout, right? Just because labor force got so thin, and so everyone's having to do more.
Yep.
And just the toll psychologically and for people's mental health, and especially in a driver or mechanic, it's not like you could just take off, right? It's or at last minute, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're in critical positions to where someone doesn't show up to work, it really hurts, right? If they're not covering a specific lane or a customer, that means you have to fill the gap and move people around and play musical chairs. And I think it's something that probably all of us within the industry need to be more cognizant of, is just mental health and also burnout, because it's real.
No, it's real. And what we do at Stone, at Stone Transport, is we take on a lot of dedicated plant service jobs. And so that means we're at a major manufacturing facility 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 6 days a week, and you're relying on those people and those drivers and your in-plant personnel and your operation and your mechanic, your maintenance staff to all show up to make it happen. Because the second one person's not there, it creates disruption in that system. So we've really made sure that work-life balance is good. Jay's team every single week is now meeting, okay, how does the weekend, how are we going to approach the weekend, what are we going to do?
Right.
To make the best plan for everybody in order to execute. And obviously always trying to think about that work-life balance. I keep going to it, but you start thinking of some of the younger people coming into transportation. It's funny, you see less and less, I want to work that Saturday, or I want to work that Sunday.
Yeah.
It's something that's kind of dying, and I talk with a lot of our customers, and they're seeing it the same way. Like, I'll give you what I got Monday through Friday, but hey, give me my weekends. That's my time.
Yeah.
We honor that. Like, sure, we'd love for you to work. We have it, but we understand if it's not able to happen.
Yeah, I think it's, I grew up the same way too, coming through the business. Like, it was just a 6-day work week, every week. We never rotated people off. I didn't, I wasn't taught to think like that. But I think through COVID, again, if that didn't happen, I probably would not have approached it the same way. And we need to give people the time off to go do the things that they enjoy. And so, and also it becomes like a safety issue, right? Like, you got a driver that's tired or stressed out or distracted or on their cell phone and they're trying to make appointments, or it's just a bad scenario for everyone.
Yeah, yes it is. Yes it is. But, all challenges come with good opportunities.
Absolutely.
And I think we've adapted to it. You look at after, post-COVID, hit the reset button on how to approach the day-to-day business, how to treat your employees, what's the best way of doing that. It really had a nice reset, and I think a lot of companies are better for it now.
I think so too. I think one of the interesting things that you guys have done is the plant dedicated service, and like really realizing the circular economy in terms of these supply chains and how steel manufacturers such as Cleveland Cliffs or Nucor or SDI are going to want to recapture those tons, right? The tons sold, they want to cast a net on, right? And so it's pretty critical, and I think it's probably a pretty big growth opportunity for you guys as new EAFs come online and the way that steel manufacturing is changing.
Yeah. I mean, we've been doing plant service for a very long time, even before my time at Stone, but we've really taken it, I think, to another level. We've opened our geographical footprint of where we provide plant service. And you're right, steel companies are getting vertical, right? Sure. So now you have these companies buying up the scrap processor, the scrap broker, becoming more vertical, controlling all the tons that come into them that they're going to remill. So, and prime scrap is something that they all love. Right. So we have great relationships. We've built great relationships because we have a proven track record of providing good plant service. So, we've done it. We're doing it a lot here in Michigan and Ohio. Now we're out in Texas. Now we're down in Alabama, and there's so many more. We're getting so many more hits for it because it's critical. You need a reliable company because we're the ones that are responsible for it. Ultimately, if something goes wrong, the scrap company is managing the price. We're managing to make sure that they can be at that plant because, if we don't do our job, they're changing hands really quick.
No, absolutely. I think the one of the biggest things when getting a new industrial account is either service or price. And mostly it's service, because you're going to cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars a day, if they have to shut down their production line because scrap is overflowing. And predictable, reliable service within logistics, people are willing to pay for it. There's a lot of times where I just will ask you guys, hey, just run this. I don't even ask for the... I probably should, but I don't ask for the lane to be quoted.
When you say that, that's when we all right, like, okay. 40 more percent.
Fuel surcharge, 35%. But it's just because I know it's going to get done. And if the truck doesn't show up, I get an explanation from the ownership group at the end of the day. Hey, we're sorry. Shit happens. We blew a steer. We'll get you first thing tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's Jay and his team right there. I mean, I felt like we weren't like that at one point in time. We really weren't. Bringing more talented people into the operations staff, higher caliber, has allowed that to happen. That's allowed us to grow our dedicated service. That's allowed us to be better communicators. Because at the end of the day, business is about being honest and communicating problems, right? And then driving solutions. If we can do that, we know we're doing a good job. If we drive some innovation, some solutions, communicate when we have problems, just be honest, things are gonna go well for us and our customers.
I think the willingness to modify like your asset base too, based upon the customer. Like we'll do a load of a certain type of commodity, and we've done it before, and it's just like, yeah, not a great payload. And I'm like, okay, can you send like this type of trailer configuration? That's tied. There's never a pushback. It's like, okay, we'll try it, because it's a win-win at the end of the day. You guys want to maximize capacity because obviously it's in your own best financial interest. And myself, from being an owner-operator, I'm trying to put 15 pounds of shit into a 5-pound bag every fucking day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that goes to, our team. That goes to the innovation of it. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, especially in, you look in the Michigan, into the Ontario, Ohio, Indiana, where you have these multi-axle specialty equipment that you don't see anywhere else. Really.
Right.
You don't see this
Right.
heavy haul anywhere else. And yeah, our ability to be like, hey, let's take this tandem axle, 39-foot trailer, and let's figure out how to put 6 axles underneath it and build up the sidewalls so we can get more cubic volume, and then we send it to your yard and you load it, you stuff it.
Yeah, no, it's I come from Illinois, so like once I really start to experience the multi-axle configurations and what that does to your bottom line,
Yeah.
it's tremendous. I mean, if you're talking about aluminum turnings, if you're putting that into a 40-yard box and it's costing you 5 cents, and then you have an 80-yard box and you can put 60,000 in, you're bringing that down to 2 cents or 2.5 cents. You multiply that 2.5 cents times a couple million pounds, that's going to add up.
It adds up. It for sure adds up. Yep. And that, especially in your world, with where some of your lanes that are going, we were on the kind of the front of some of those permits that got released and took advantage of it.
Yeah.
So, it's just a credit to the leadership and a lot of people in here for just being cognizant of that and going, okay, hey, we got an opportunity here. Let's change some of our equipment around. Now we can go.
I think it's specifically the big change was Indiana getting that single source commodity permit.
Yep.
It allows you to haul up to 120 or
Yep.
115 depending upon your axle configuration.
Yep.
And I've seen a lot of people owner-operators invest in multi-axle configurations, because we know all of our operating expenses, they're not going down, right? Fuel, people, insurance. The one thing that we can't control is capacity.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's the only way to fight that battle, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've realized. Like you gotta have the trucks, gotta have the drivers, gotta have the trailers, in order to take advantage of the opportunities.
And that's what we're doing here. I don't think you guys would necessarily be able to have stone material handling if you didn't have the trucks to be able to move this to the end consumer.
Yep.
And to self-perform this work.
Yep, very much so.
Cool. We'll
Yeah.
walk around.
Yeah, we can head back this way actually, because over there it gets a little dicey with the equipment. So
So the truck's loaded with coke, and that's going to Dearborn?
Yep. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to end up be trucked over to Dearborn.
And do you see capacity or demand continuing for coke, and for the foreseeable future in the mid to
I mean,
near term?
I don't know if it's very expensive for these mills. I know a lot of them are going to be switching over, right?
Right.
I'm trying to think what's the big one that's switching over coming up here soon. I forget which one it is, but a lot of the BOFs are going to be switching over. But I mean, it's a project that can take many years for that to happen. Until then, this is still going to be a big need.
And have you guys, I mean, obviously the discussion as EAF capacity increases, I mean, is it in the foreseeable future maybe that you guys will be transloading, scrap metal inputs, such as like Ozinga?
Yep. I mean, obviously we have our dock here in Detroit, so it does create opportunity for the scrap suppliers to utilize our dock in order to you could technically hit international waters if you wanted to, right? You
Right.
can load salties off our dock, you can load inner lakes off the dock. So yeah, we've talked with several folks about, how to make that a reality, to service some of those mills. That's the one that's changing over is Algoma up in the Sioux. They're switching from BOF to an EAF. I think they're supposed to be done in like 2024, 2025. So
Yeah. So I think the next time we'll hear, we'll probably see some P&S, heavy melt,
there you go.
bush
Not
link.
here. Over at the dock,
Sit it at
yeah.
our dock so we can get it onto a barge or a vessel so we can make it a reality. But it would be great to see us be able to support that side of the supply chain as well.
Right, and it's just that pivot, starting to think about it and what you guys need to do to be in a position.
Yeah, I mean, having the land is part of it.
And the
There's
infrastructure.
not-
Yeah, and the
there is
infrastructure.
not a lot of that land available on the water, so you can hit the water. So
Pretty interesting. Should
Yeah.
we go over to the docks?
Yeah, let's head over, check out
Cool.
the dock.
So what are we looking at here? It looks like asphalt millings, different types of asphalt millings. Some are finer, some are more coarse.
yeah, so these come straight off a road.
Right.
These are coming from mill crews that work throughout the city of Detroit and the greater Detroit metro area. They need to find places to drop their millings.
Okay.
They're concerned about milling up the road and less
Mm-hmm.
concerned about anything other than milling up that road and getting the material out of there. So we provide a spot for them to dump their millings. So
Okay.
these are the streets of Detroit that you're looking at,
Gotcha.
that are getting improved. So even though you probably don't feel it sometimes, but these are those roads we intake, and then we find places for them to take them.
Gotcha.
A lot of this stuff just gets recycled right back into the whole asphalt process. They take these at the plants and kind of reintroduce this material back into the mix designs.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So and then landscapers, just the farmers. These are
Scrap yards.
great. Yeah, scrap yards. This is just
Yeah.
great top lane base, right?
Yeah, it is.
Great top lane base. So it's one of our things that we've been able to do is just provide backhaul. So we have lanes where maybe trucks are going empty. We're able to provide a competitive price to move some of these things at our convenience and provide benefit for an asphalt plant or a landscaping company or an excavating company or a scrapyard. We've done several scrap yards where they're like, hey, we need 1,000 tons of this stuff to lay down.
Sure.
So,
No, it's really interesting because it's, obviously this recycled product's like a negative cash conversion. You're picking up for free. Your vendors financing your operation, and then you're selling this on the back end. It reminds me a lot of like the tire recycling and the yard waste guys.
very much so.
And no, but I've seen your trucks before, like dedicated asphalt trucks and out of Kalamazoo and
Yep.
and
we do a lot of that support too, milling work.
Yeah.
Where we're on the side of that road, taking it right off the miller, and a lot of that material that we normally support is going right back to the plant, right back to the asphalt plant, so they can reintroduce. So, yeah, it's just one piece of the dock. We've done a lot of different things here. Like we've talked about done
the limestone.
the limestone recently. I'm trying to think. We've loaded and offloaded mill scale here. A lot of varying products here that we've put onto boats, taken off of boats, and just used as a storage facility. So.
I think it's so interesting. Obviously, by moving ship by barge or moving material by barge or ship is the most cost effective, right? And it's just within your supply chain.
Yep.
It probably goes barge, ship, rail, and truck, or and it's just. Or sometimes trucks probably more competitive based upon your capacity and to fulfill it. But it's pretty cool to see this because I think a lot of people don't understand how we utilize the tributary systems in this country. I think there's 12,000 miles of river in this country, and each year it's like 52 million truckloads that move on our rivers. And it's cool to see you guys do this, because we're so landlocked, we don't even have rail, so it's cool to see this other side of the supply chain and the infrastructure that goes through and how you guys plan around that.
Yeah, and this is like I said, this is an asset that we're still trying to figure out how to better utilize. Like we've done a little, we've dabbed a little bit here, dabbed a little bit there, so we're always looking for that next step, like what else can we bring here, take off from here in order to make this an even bigger asset.
Yeah, I mean, it's another tool in your tool shed, right? And it provides like that versatility to support your customers. I mean, maybe even get into stevedoring, right? You're loading and unloading coils or plate or so it's very cool to see. Let's go take a look.
So just like at Zug, where we had screening operations, we'll screen different aggregates here as well before we then load them out, whether that be by ship or truck.
And a lot of what we will take in here gets reloaded. So there's a company that we team with here, Levy.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of plant service and recycling of scrap, or recycling of steel making byproducts. So
B scrap.
Yep. They bring some of this material, they process it here, they process it at their own facilities here in the greater Detroit area, bring it over here, and they're actually reintroducing that stuff into cement. So a lot of what we do here is we take products from some of their processing facilities, bring it here, we're throwing it onto vessels so it can be taken up to that cement factory to be reintroduced into their mix.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are in the recycling business.
Yeah, a little. We're a piece of it. We're a piece of it.
I think it's like, whether it be operators in the material handling space or demolition companies, I think, or scrap metal companies or scrap metal recycling companies, we're all thinking about secondary use, right?
And that's what I mean. This dock it's tricky to run. You gotta plan things right. Just not so long ago, this parcel next to us, the people weren't doing the right things, and they put the dock right into the Detroit River. So you got to be smart about it on where you're taking your material, where you're stacking it, where it lives on your dock. I mean, I believe it's a 300-foot setback is what we have to be at.
And we stay conservative to that.
Yeah, and we stay ultra conservative to that in order to make sure we don't have any problems. So, it's a process to load a boat. I mean, you have to take it from one spot, move it here. Now you're putting it on the stacker, bringing it right up to the boat.
I mean, I could see that. You need material handlers over your front end loader, dump truck, maybe coming in here, loading the dump truck, dumping it over there.
Yep.
How many barges out can you go here? And
I'm not entirely sure how many barges out you can go. I wish I knew that. I don't know how many barges out you can go. But I know we have, this area has been dredged, so, we do have the ability to load salties and really any vessel.
For layman terms, what's a salty?
So salties, basically it's a vessel that's going to be able to go into the into the lakes, but also if you want to hit the Atlantic,
St. Lawrence.
You got it through the St. Lawrence.
Okay.
So you'll see those come up and down. We have the ability to do both here, which is pretty cool.
And a salty or a lake ship, about how many tons are we talking about on one of those?
Sometimes it depends on vessel, but I think usually if you go off the law of average, it's about 30,000 tons.
Wow.
Yeah, per shipment is generally where it comes in at, right?
20 to 50.
Yeah.
And how long does it take you to load
a day?
A day?
Yeah.
That's it.
Usually
But
like
it's-
24 hours.
It's 24 hours would be your average, but that's, for these 980s, I mean, watching them do it's pretty impressive because they all got to keep the hopper fed, right? So they're in and out
Right.
constantly for 24 hours, obviously multiple shifts.
Sounds like a
it's
lot
exciting.
of coffee and cigarettes.
Can't speak for that, but yeah.
Yeah, and this actually, we recently, it was probably, I don't know, 4 weeks ago is when we loaded a boat. So
Yep.
there's the remaining piece of it right there of what didn't get loaded on.
Jay, we got to put that in your pickup truck.
There you go.
And
You slacker.
another thing that makes this tricky is with this dock is that's another country right there.
Mhm.
Like it's, this is U.S., that is Canada.
Gotcha.
So, you have increased security here just due to that fact that this is an international border and those
Wow.
are international waters. So it's, it adds
That's
another
pretty
level
wild.
of complexity.
Yeah, I didn't
people
realize
forget
that we were
about it.
looking at Canada.
Yeah,
right now.
you're just looking, you're right here and there's
Yeah.
Canada. So it's, it adds that level of complexity when you run a dock in this location.
Yeah, no, it's pretty impressive. No, that's really impressive. Yeah, I love all the infrastructure and then the back. I would call it like the back office capacity and the planning that goes into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is something that no one really thinks about, like how materials moved and the fashion that it's done in, and how critical it is to our supply chains
Yep.
and like our average daily products. Like, I think people see your trucks on the road or hear about your business, but they don't know the intricacy of what really goes on and the scope of work.
Yeah.
Well, and we spoke about it earlier, but building visibility into this industry is so important because we do really cool things, and we want our employees to be able to take pride into that. And that's why we're going down the branding and social media route so that they can visualize the things that they do and educate the rest of society on that, because we do really cool things. I mean, that's why we're here.
And it's going to be important. I mean, to get people to this, to get people into this industry. I mean, we have pretty much a strategic advantage for the next 15 to 20 years. That country, this country, and Mexico.
Right now,
To-
2.0.
Yeah, I mean, we really have, with all the onshoring going on, with the amount of natural resources that we can share between all three of these countries, like, getting people into this industry, figuring out, getting the best and the brightest so we can do it smartly, do it right, is important because it's bigger picture. It makes for a stronger
Right.
country, better relationships to the north and south of us, and
Stronger trade relations.
this next
Right.
15, 20 years is looking like it's going to be a great time to be a part of it, right? And that's why you see what's going on right there. That's the Gordie Howe Bridge. It's being put up, just another channel compared to the Ambassador over here. It's another way for that trade to happen, movement to happen. So, we're excited by being a part of it.
Well, not only that, I think as you build out these different supply chains and when you offer solutions in different value chains, whether it be barge, trucking, rail, you're going to be able to better service your customers and find unique solutions to fill capacity.
Yep.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, would you guys agree that you're a logistics company, right? We're trying to move, product from point A to point B and
Be creative about how to do it the best way.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it, and that just goes to that whole how can we support your operation over there in Benton Harbor, and then, how can we get trucks out that way in order to give you, the best price that we possibly can give you, right? So, just trying to always continue to figure out how to fulfill lanes, fulfill customers, and yeah, it's exciting to be a part of.
I think also too, it's just like the scope of the business and what you're involved in. Oh look, we got some trucks rolling through. the scope of what you're involved in, like if someone's not happy with a certain segment of the business or they find it another area interesting, allows them to pivot. I think if you have a talented individual, the last thing that you want to do is to pigeonhole them.
Yeah. No, give them runway for sure, and give them the ability to grow.
So in one of these trucks, how many tons can we fill? Just about. What's your payload gross?
50 to 52. I mean, we can roll 164,000 gross on these. You know, commodity's gonna change that.
Right.
With some of your lighter bush, like you were talking about, you're not gonna get that weight, but in our aggregate situation, we'll max it out. Max it out to gross legal weight. So.
And then here in the near future, we got some trailers coming our way, and that'll allow us to get all the way up to 169,000 gross weight, which will allow for 56, 57 tons per payload within Michigan.
You know, I always tell my parents how heavy we haul. They're like, "That's insane." Yeah, it's just
it's fun saying that to when you talk to the people that aren't from this area.
Yeah.
What?
My dad loves it. He's like, "What? Shipped out a load that was 146,000 pounds." Like, just to quantify that. I always laugh too. But it's, you know, coming from Illinois where you're strict at it, 80 gross vehicle weight, it's not too exciting. So I'm really excited to be in Michigan and be able to ship heavy and have you guys move our product. Yep. And just at our yard, we use these exact same trains to load out bush, and we're sending it to Nucor and SDI, and it really changed the game for us.
This is an example of stone material handling, loading out stone transport, right? Which is a great opportunity for us.
I love it. Its ass wants to come off the ground.
Yeah.